Hello everyone, this is ICBs here and today I'm going to be reviewing Avatar The Last Airbender. And if you watched my review last week, I had reviewed the show but I had only watched 2 episodes. So you're going to see a stark difference between that review and this review, because that review was, well, really positive because I was really happy with the show so far. But yeah, now that I finished watching it, that opinion seems to have changed and I'm going to explain that. I think that the live action show skipped a lot of important beats for the show, and what they have presented so far is extremely rushed and they have skipped a lot of the good stuff. And again, I really liked the show in the beginning. Yes, they changed a few things but they had kept most of the DNA the same. In the latter episodes, however, I think they were combining at least 3 different storylines in a single episode, and in doing so they ruined most of them. The Heibai episode, where you have a monstrous spirit of the forest wreaking havoc on the neighboring village, was an amazing episode in the cartoon show, but in the live action that whole storyline had been nerfed. And also Aang never goes into the Avatar state the entire middle of the series. As for Momo, I kind of forgot that he even existed in this series until I saw him in the Heibai episode where he picks up a nut in the burnt forest. I also mentioned this before, but the dialogue is absolutely horrible in this show. You have characters standing and explaining the plot and their character motivations every few seconds. And I also have to make a scene comparison between the cartoon show and the live action. That's when Aang saves Zuko after Zuko wears the blue demon mask and rescues Aang from Zhao. In the cartoon series, Zuko is unconscious. When he finally comes to, Aang starts to talk with him. For the first time, Aang shares his experience and says that he wants to be Zuko's friend. And then in an instant, Zuko throws a fire attack at Aang, and then Aang immediately dodges and runs away. And that had made the scene so much better, because even when Zuko was still, he seemed dangerous. It was a very tense scene because you knew how much Zuko wants to capture the Avatar. And when Zuko finally attacks Aang, it shows that how dangerous he can be in the blink of an eye. And when Aang runs away, Zuko's expression softens a bit to show that what Aang had said really got to him. Notice the subtlety in this scene and compare that to the live action, where Aang and Zuko start talking casually and then Zuko attacks Aang and then Aang attacks him back, making him unconscious. Notice how blunt the live action is, where both characters are casually talking to one another, making the scene much less tense. Notice when Zuko attacks Aang and then Aang attacks right back, making Zuko unconscious, making Zuko feel really weak in my opinion. I explained all of this as but one single example of how cartoon show handle things in a much more mature way than the live action, which is kind of ironic because the showrunners kept saying that they wanted to make the show more mature. Another thing that I hate is that they've nerfed Katara's character. Katara does start off as a novice waterbender, which was fine in the first few episodes of the show, but she's supposed to slowly learn and become a really powerful waterbender. Somewhere in the middle of the live action, Katara suddenly becomes a really powerful waterbender somehow, I don't know. And also her fights were also really dumbed down. In the cartoon show, the fight between Katara and Baku, a master of waterbending in the northern tribe, is really amazing and emotional. However, in the live action, it just doesn't carry the same weight, not emotionally or visually. I really wanted to like this show and I hope that it was a good show because I can see traces of a good show lying there. I really hope that they had taken their time to refine the script and had given Aang and the team a bit more time to develop. Who cares if that had cost a few more episodes, because every last one of those episodes would have been valuable. I wouldn't have cared if they had taken 2 seasons to adapt this storyline, because the episode would have been fun to watch regardless. If I have to rate this show now, I would rate it a 5 out of 10 as an Avatar The Last Airbender adaptation. And with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.